dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual class. Yes, students, today we are going to start with the subject Geography, and in Standard 9's Geography, on the screen you can see the cover page of our Geography's textbook, front cover and the back cover, and by observing these cover pages one can understand that what exactly we are going to study in the textbook. And now on the screen you can see the chapters. So the first one, distributional maps, then second one, endogenetic movements, third one, exogenetic movements part 1, then the fourth one, exogenetic movements part 2, fifth chapter, precipitation, and the sixth one, properties of sea water. So altogether we have to study 12 lessons in Geography's textbook in the 9th standard Geography, and in the first term or for first term we are going to study 6 lessons: distributional maps, endogenetic movements, exogenetic movements part 1 and exogenetic movements part 2, then precipitation and properties of seawater. Now in second term, international dateline, 7th chapter, then introduction to economics. In the Geography we have to study about economics also, then trade, urbanization, transport and communication, and the last chapter, tourism. So altogether how many chapters we are going to study? 12 chapters, 6 in the first term and 6 in the second term. And now today we will be learning the first chapter of our Geography's textbook, that is distributional maps. So what we are going to study in this chapter? We are going to study in detail about the different types of maps. In that, on the screen you can see the map, some maps which are prepared with special themes, and such maps are called thematic maps. Now map is the thing which is not exactly new for you. You people are already familiar with the concept of map, or in the lower standards you people have already studied about district, state and country maps, environmental studies and in geography subjects. So the main aim of maps is to show the location. Why we are having maps in our textbook? We are having maps in our textbook or anywhere else we are having maps to show the locations. किसी भी जगह का exact location देखने के लिए हम map का use करते हैं. Nowadays we people are having these maps on our mobile phone also, like Google Maps, or in car or in different places. So the main aim of map is to show the location of a place and distribution of variables. So some maps are prepared. Some maps are prepared with spatial themes. Some maps are prepared with spatial themes, and such maps are called thematic maps. Such maps are called thematic maps because there is something special about that map, or there is focus on particular thing. किसी भी एक चीज़ के बारे में उस मैप में कहा जाता है, इसीलिए उसे थीमेटिक मैप बोला जाता है. कोई एक पर्टिकुलर थीम लेके उस मैप को बनाया जाता है. अबाउट दैट विल स्टडी इन डिटेल इन द लेसन. Through such maps, distribution of various variables in a region is shown. For example, thematic map of temperature, or in the thematic map where we are talking about temperature or about rainfall or about population or about literacy. Thematic map इसमें से किसी भी एक थीम पे बनाया गया हो सकता है या बनाया जा सकता है. जैसे किसी एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया का या रीजन का टेम्परेचर हुआ, या फिर पॉपुलेशन हुआ, या फिर रेनफॉल हुआ, या फिर लिटरेसी. ऑल दीज आर द वेरिएबल्स, एंड वाइल preparing thematic map, different variables are considered. Now on the screen you can see female literacy in India, this one. A thematic map is a map. A thematic map is a map that emphasizes a particular theme. For example, temperature, or here female literacy, emphasizes a particular theme or special topic such as the average distribution of rainfall in an area. So such maps easily bring out the patterns of distribution. हमें किसी भी एक वेरिएबल का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जो है वो अच्छी तरह से समझ में आता है. To draw distributional maps, we need statistical data of the variables, and distribution can be shown in the different ways, and basically 3 different ways are given in our textbook. About that we are going to study in detail. So distribution of temperatures, or it may be of rainfall or population, which is shown on the map according to the data of these variables. These maps are useful to explain distribution of these variables in the region. Such maps easily bring out the patterns of distribution. हमें distribution के patterns समझ में आते हैं, and because of the theme हमें एक particular चीज़ के बारे में details पता चलते हैं. But one thing here which is very important to understand or to take into consider, that to draw distributional maps we need statistical data. हमारे पास डेटा होना चाहिए, उसका यूज़ करके ही हम ये मैप्स बनाते हैं. Now on the screen people can see the ways, or the 3 following ways, that is dot method, then choropleth method, and isopleth method. Distribution can be shown in the 3 ways, that is dot method एक हो सकता है इसमें, दूसरा है choropleth method, और तीसरा है isopleth method. Now in this topic we have to study in detail about dot method. What is dot method exactly in distributional maps, किस तरह से dots बनाए जाते हैं, then what is choropleth method and what is isopleth method. Now one by one we'll study, and first here on the screen is dot method. Now on the screen you can see the map, this one, 2 मैप दिख रहे हैं आपको जिसमें डॉट डॉट दिए हुए हैं. डॉट मैप इज प्रिपेयर्ड यूजिंग स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा नहीं होगा तो मैप बनाया नहीं जा सकता. वी नीड स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा, and for dot method also, which is prepared using statistical data, and while preparing dot maps only data gathered through counting is used. Only data gathered through counting is used, and the way a variable is distributed throughout the region, the dots are used to show its distribution on the map. Now here, to understand, one dot represents what it represents. It represents 1 lakh people. 1 dot is equal to 1 lakh people. Like this we have to prepare dot method maps. Then for choropleth, you can see the example on the screen. And now it's isopleth. With the help of figures or with the help of diagrams, one can easily understand the difference between the dot method, choropleth method and isopleth method. One by one now we'll study in detail about the dot method, about the choropleth method and about the isopleth method. First one here, dot method. A dot map is preparing using statistical data. While preparing dot maps only data gathered through counting is used. Only data gathered through counting is used. The way a variable is distributed throughout the region, dots are used to show its distribution on the map. Like on the screen you can see Amravati district distribution of population, which is given in our textbook, figure 1.1, dot method map. To show distribution through dot method, the value of a dot has to be determined. सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना है, एक डॉट के लिए क्या वैल्यू हमने ली है, दैट वैल्यू वी हैव टू डिटरमाइन. पहले हमें वो वैल्यू डिसाइड करनी है. द लोवेस्ट and the highest values of a given variable in a region are taken into consideration, and accordingly the number of dots are determined. To do this, what we have to do, the lowest and the highest values of a given variable in a region are taken into consideration. सबसे ज़्यादा और सबसे कम नंबर जो है वो पहले हमें डिसाइड करना है और फिर उसके बीच में हमें डॉट्स को नंबर वाइज डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है. The size of the dot, what we have to consider, accordingly the number of dots are determined, and then we need to consider the size of the dot, then the density of the variable, and the scale of the map. These three things which are very important: the size of the dot, the density of the variable, and the scale of the map. The number of dots to be given for the value of variable in each sub-administrative unit needs to be decided first. And now the precautions which should be taken while using the dot method for a map. And in that, the first one, the size of a dot should be uniform. The size of a dot should be uniform because it is very important to bring uniformity in the variables or in the measurement of the variables. जैसे यूनिफॉर्मिटी अगर नहीं होंगी डॉट में तो हो सकता है कि वो जो डेटा हमारे पास है वो हम मैप पे डाल रहे हैं, मैप पे डॉट्स दे रहे हैं, उसमें गड़बड़ हो सकती है. इन मैप रीडिंग इट मे क्रिएट प्रॉब्लम, एंड सो दैट इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट that the size of a dot should be uniform. The distribution of physiography, water sources, transport system, etc. of a region should be considered while placing dots on a map. It means that we have to think about the variables, the distribution of physiography or water sources or transport system, all these things which are very important of a region should be considered while placing dots on a map. Then the last one, while showing population distribution, rural population is shown by dots and circles are used to show urban population while using dot method for a map. Population distribution, rural population is shown by डॉट्स. जब हम रूरल पॉपुलेशन दिखाएंगे तो उसके लिए डॉट्स होते हैं, एंड सर्कल्स आर यूज्ड टू शो अर्बन पॉपुलेशन. सो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग while using dot method for a map to show population distribution. For rural population we have to use dots, and for urban population we have to use circles. So these are the things which one should take into consider while using dot method for a map. Now on the screen you can see the map figure 1.1, which is of a dot method map given in our textbook, and on this questions are also given on the basis of this Amravati district map distribution of population, and you people have to solve these questions. So the question is, in figure 1.1, population distribution map of Amravati district is given, and answer the given questions by reading the distributional map shown by dot method. Now you people can solve these questions by reading the map and also by reading questions. What is the population of the Amravati town? Now here is the Amravati town, and here you can see population of main cities. This dot for 50,000, then 1 lakh, then 2 lakh and 5 lakhs. Now by reading this index you can answer the questions. Then the next one, name the place having population of 1 lakh on the map. This one is for 1 lakh, so you have to name the places having population of 1 lakh on the map. Then which part of the map shows sparse distribution of population? So all these questions based on dot method map. You people solve these questions. And now the next one, choropleth method. We people discussed about the dot method, and now the second one, choropleth method. In these maps, in choropleth method, the data regarding various geographical areas is shown. In these maps, the data regarding various geographical variables is shown by shades or tints of various colors. Like here you can see, ये अलग अलग शेड्स हमें दिख रहे हैं, एक ही कलर के, एक कलर लिया है और उससे अलग अलग शेड्स यूज़ किए हैं. कुछ लाइट शेड है, डार्क शेड है, और लाइट और डार्क के बीच में भी कुछ शेड है. तो ऐसे शेड यूज़ किए जा सकते हैं या फिर टिंट यूज़ किए जा सकते हैं इन choropleth method. Like in dot method we use dots. So while making such maps, the data used for different variables is obtained through various processes such as measurement or surveying. Measurement किया जा सकता है या फिर survey किया जा सकता है, and by these things we get data, and that data we have to put on the map by using tints or different shades of a particular color. In this method, only one value is given to one sub-administrative unit in a region. Now here Amravati district density population, which is again given in our textbook, figure 1.2a, choropleth map of tints. Then the one thing which is very important here, which we have to keep in mind, the smallest and the largest. The smallest and the largest values of the given data of the variable are taken into consideration. So what we have to do in this method, only one value is given to one sub-administrative unit in a region, and the smallest and the largest values of the given data of the variables are taken into consideration. सबसे ज़्यादा और सबसे कम. And after that, एक बार हमने डिसाइड किया कि सबसे ज़्यादा वैल्यू कौन सा है और सबसे कम वैल्यू कौन सा है, स्मॉलेस्ट एंड द लार्जेस्ट वैल्यूज ऑफ द गिवन डेटा. आफ्टर दैट 5 to 7 classes are made, and each class is assigned a tint of the same color or black and white patterns. For example, if we are having data of 1 to 10, 1 से लेके 10 तक का डाटा है हमारे पास, लोवेस्ट वैल्यू जो है वो 1 है और लार्जेस्ट वैल्यू जो है 10 है हमारे पास. तो हम 2 के इंटरवल से इसे कर सकते हैं, 1, 3, देन 5, देन 7 एंड 9 एंड 10. इस तरह से हमें उसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है इंटू 5 to 7 क्लासेस. द शेड्स, व्हाट वी हैव टू देन, the shades or the patterns become darker with the increasing values of the given variable. The shades or the patterns become darker with the increasing value. जैसे फर्स्ट है उससे हम थर्ड में जाएंगे, फिर फिफ्थ में जाएंगे, फिर सेवन्थ में जाएंगे, तो हमारे शेड्स जो है कलर्स के वो क्या होते जाएंगे, डार्कर होते जाएंगे. द शेड्स और द पैटर्न्स बिकम डार्कर with the increasing values of the given variables and are drawn accordingly on the map in the given classification. To understand this in detail, now on the screen you can see the figure 1.2a of choropleth map, and 1.2b is also given, but for the first one, the population density maps of Amravati district using color shades, and here it is of color shades. जो A है 1.2a, and in 1.2b you can see the black and white patterns are shown. So read any one map in detail and answer the following questions. You can read 1.2a or you can read 1.2b, and by reading these two maps you have to answer the questions like name the talukas having population density between 301 to 400. So here this second one you can see, name the talukas having population density between 301 and 400 persons per square kilometer. So this color you have to find in the map. Then what is the density of the Amravati taluka? Here it is Amravati taluka. Then name the talukas having population density less than less than 300 persons per square kilometer. Now by reading this choropleth map, you have to answer these questions. And this one now again, figure 1.2b, you can read this also and answer the given questions. पहले में जो था वो हमने देखा कि कलर शेड्स थे एंड हियर ब्लैक एंड वाइट पैटर्न्स है. व्हाट वी आर हैविंग हियर, ब्लैक एंड वाइट पैटर्न्स. सो इन isopleth now we are having the different things. You have seen contour maps and isobar maps in earlier classes, and in these maps the distribution was shown with the help of lines showing equal values. Now here we are talking about the lines. अलग अलग lines आपको दिख रही है. And when the distribution of a variable is continuous, if it is continuous, the isopleth method is then used to show its distribution. For example, for altitude or for temperature or for rainfall. So in the first one we learnt about dot method, then choropleth method, and now we are talking about isopleth method. By considering the highest and the lowest value, by considering the highest and the lowest values of the variable, the class interval, again the same thing, the class interval is decided to draw the isopleth maps, which in turn decide the difference between the lines. Then lines are drawn for the decided intervals. Same thing here also, intervals decide करनी है हमें एक बार lowest और highest value लेने के बाद. Lines are drawn for the decided intervals. Locations with the same value are joined by line. दो locations जिनके वैल्यू सेम है, उन locations को हमें क्या करना है, लाइन से जोड़ना है, सेम लाइन से जोड़ना है. And conclusions which we can do: if the lines are closer to each other, then the change in the variable is steep, and if the lines are away from each other, then it is gentle. If the lines are closer to each other, then the change in the variable is steep, and if the lines are away from each other, then it is gentle. Then we get an idea of the natural trend of the distribution of the variable with the help of this map. What we get? We get an idea of the natural trend of the distribution of the variable, which is shown in the map, with the help of this map. So for these maps, isopleth maps, we need to obtain the accurate data regarding the altitude, regarding the temperature, regarding the rainfall of some places in a region, and it is assumed that the difference between the altitude or rainfall of two places changes at a uniform rate, and the sub-administrative units are not taken into consideration as we take into consideration into the choropleth method. So statistical data belongs to the respective places, and such data is known as point related data, which we use in the isopleth method. Now on the screen, figure 1.2b, isopleth map, black and white pattern. Then same we have figure 1.2b, isopleth map, density of population. And then the next thing, you people now can differentiate between the dot method, choropleth method and isopleth method. And now one thing which is given in our textbook about geographical field visit. Field visit is an important study method in geography, and you people already learned about this in lower standards in the geography, that how field visits are important in studying any particular thing about any particular area or about any particular region or about any particular location. So geographical concepts and elements can be directly experienced through field visits. For example, किसी एक पर्टिकुलर जगह का क्लाइमेट या फिर टेम्परेचर या फिर रेनफॉल या फिर पॉपुलेशन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन अगर हमें देखना है, तो उस जगह पे जाके अगर हम उसकी स्टडी करेंगे, सर्वे करेंगे, डेटा कलेक्ट करेंगे, तो वो हमें समझने में बहुत ईजी होता है और हमारे पास उसका डेटा भी होता है. सो फील्ड विजिट्स आर एक्सट्रीमली यूजफुल. द वर्ड एक्सट्रीमली यूज्ड हियर विच इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Field visits are extremely useful for understanding. For what it is important? It is important for understanding the correlation between humans and environment, because there practically we people learn many things, and that is why it is very important. Now, preparations for field visits. Before going to the field visit, डिसाइड द प्लेस. जाने के पहले क्या डिसाइड होना चाहिए? हम कहाँ जाने वाले हैं, कौन सी जगह पे जाने वाले, एंड द पर्पज़ ऑफ विजिट. नॉट ओनली डिसाइडिंग द प्लेस इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट इट इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू डिसाइड द पर्पज़. हम क्यों जा रहे हैं, कहाँ जा रहे हैं और क्यों जा रहे हैं. The elements which will be observed in field visit should be decided. That is what, why we are going or for what we are going. Purpose क्या है, उससे related questionnaire हमारे पास होना चाहिए. Study the location map and the route map. Two things. Study the location map and the route map of the place to be visited. Distance, then distance, transport route, means of transport and duration of field visit should be planned ahead. क्योंकि आगे कुछ confusion ना हो, जाने आने में हमने जितना प्लान किया है उससे ज़्यादा टाइम ना लगे, इसलिए हमारे पास ये सारी चीज़ें पहले से ही होनी चाहिए. वन थिंग विच इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, वी शुड नो द डिस्टेंस ऑफ द प्लेस जहाँ से हम जा रहे हैं. देन द ट्रांसपोर्ट रूट, कितने रूट है एंड विच रूट वी आर फॉलोइंग. देन विच मीन्स ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट वी आर यूजिंग, whether we are going by train or by bus, and then the duration of field visit, कितने टाइम के लिए हम वहाँ विजिट करने जा रहे हैं. वन थिंग अगेन विच इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, किसी एक पर्टिकुलर चीज़ के लिए अगर हम वहाँ जा रहे हैं तो विच सीजन और द विच पर्टिकुलर टाइम इज़ important, that also we have to think. Then with the help of teachers, students should prepare a questionnaire. Again, questionnaire which is very important in field visit. Now the next one, selection of the study area. ऐसे ही हम कहीं भी उठकर नहीं जा सकते. So selection of the study area is also very important. Geographical field visit is organized for study of various elements. For example, physical landforms or river banks, dams, coastal areas, tourism sites. Then offices, which may be the postal office, or we can visit the local government bodies offices, not in geography but in civics. We can do that in geography also. For some points we can visit the places. Then museums related to geographical elements like villages, forest areas, and many more things we can add in this. So elements should be selected after studying the local conditions, and the necessary permissions letters have to be obtained. किसी भी जगह पे जाने के पहले वहाँ जाने के लिए जो लगने वाला परमिशन लेटर है वो हमारे पास होना ही चाहिए. नहीं तो हम बहुत सारी मेहनत करके प्लान करके वहाँ पे जाएंगे और वहाँ पे हमें परमिट नहीं किया जाएगा, अलाउ नहीं किया जाएगा, तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. सो इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट to have permission letter. Then precautions to be taken during field visit. It is very important to ensure safety of ourselves and others during a field visit. You should obey the instructions given by the teachers, and for a field visit you should carry a notebook, specimen questionnaire, pen, pencil, scale, tape, compass, a bag for collecting samples, maps, camera. And by using all these things, you have to collect data, or you have to survey the region or that particular area. It is very important to ensure safety of ourselves and others during a field visit. You should obey the instructions given by the teachers. You should not go to unknown remote places alone by leaving your team or by leaving your group. During field visit, you should try to understand the local circumstances by conversing with the local people. So you can collect data by talking with the people. You should also ensure that you do not harm the environment. Again, very important thing. As a student of geography, you should also ensure that you do not harm the environment in any way during your visit, and you should always keep a first aid box with you for emergency circumstances. And the last thing about the field visit, which is very important, that is report writing. A field report should be written on the basis of information obtained after the visit is complete. That report writing is nothing but the data which we have. So for this, use the issues to make a report and photographs wherever necessary. So steps, first one, introduction, कैसे गए, कहाँ गए, क्यों गए, location map and route map you can add. Then physiography of that particular place, then the climate of that particular region or the place, then the population, environmental problems and measures, then land utilization, and at last conclusions finally. So all these things which you have to write while writing report writing after visiting any place or after visiting any geographical field visit. So in today's topic, what we people learnt in the chapter distributional maps, we learnt about the concept of thematic maps and the three types of distributional maps, that is dot method, choropleth method and isopleth method. In detail we learnt about what is dot method, what is choropleth method, what is isopleth method, and while using these methods which precautions we have to take, or the methods or the measures or the steps which we have to follow, and then about the field visit. In the next chapter of the geography, we people will learn about the endogenetic movements. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications. So my dear ones, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.